What is going on, y'all? It's the Caveman. I'm here with Football with Oz Austin for episode 44 of Against the Blitz. More fantasy football content for you at the start of July. It's starting to be, that time of year where everyone's starting to kind of open their apps again. And you're getting emails about the commissioners reactivating your leagues and your drafts are potentially being scheduled. So we're going to keep pumping these episodes out over the course of the next couple of weeks. And today we are going to do the running backs, following a similar format to what we did with the quarterbacks and tight ends about a week ago. So we're going to go through our sleepers, fades, all of those types of categories, and have some other interesting debates because there's been some discourse surrounding some individuals that I think require attention. But before I continue, join the Discord server down below. I'm just happy I had to plug that now so I didn't forget.
I was just about to. Yeah, like speaking of discourse, a really good place to have discourse is in our Discord in the bio below.
Yes, we talk about all sorts of shit. I was being impersonated earlier, so
yeah, that's kind of creepy actually. Like people are copying his username and his profile picture and like acting like they're him. It's actually kind of creepy. Like you could be accused of some.
Yeah, I know. I'm going
some really bad things.
I'm gonna get incriminated on something I didn't do because of these motherfuckers. So if you want to,
we're being super convincing right now, guys. Yeah, here, come to our Discord and we'll take your identity.
Yeah, really. Or you can talk about football too. That does happen sometimes.
Yeah, there's a lot of heated arguments too, which is kind of fun.
Yes, but also we are doing a college football 26 tournament as the drop approaches. So be in the Discord for all of this fun stuff. But anyway, Austin, take it away.
Very much so. Yeah, so we're basically going to be going over a few different categories. We're going to be talking about running backs that we should fade, running backs that have a lot of good value. We're going to be talking about some deep sleepers and some handcuffs today, as well as some other very random tangents we'll go on. But we're going to start it off with the running backs we think that we should fade in fantasy. And to premise, this does not mean these are running backs that are bad individual running backs. It doesn't even mean they're overrated actual running backs. It just means at their current draft projection, they're going a little bit too high for us to be comfortable taking them. So, Cave, who are your top 5 fades in fantasy this year?
So I also want to preface that this is on the assumption that it's like a one quarterback, traditional, maybe 2 flex league. Like you're very average fantasy format. So like no super flex, no
not
dynasty.
Yeah, this is not redraft. Yeah. This is
like,
redraft. Sorry, it's not dynasty. It's nothing weird. This is your standard sleeper ESPN, whatever draft.
Right, exactly. So we'll start with, like Austin said, my top 5 fade running backs. And this is not in any particular order necessarily, but I am avoiding these 5 guys for the most part. At number 5, I have RJ Harvey. At number 4, I have Aaron Jones. At number 3, I have Joe Mixon. At number 2, I have David Montgomery. And at number 1, I have Breece Hall. I think the guys on this list that probably require the most explanation would be probably RJ Harvey for one. I think, I mean, RJ Harvey's like the fantasy darling, at least he was, especially when he was first drafted by Denver. And then J.K. Dobbins came around, which is part of the fade here. I think he does cut into that workload a lot more than people are suspecting. And there are other guys, other rookies even, that I feel like I have more confidence in to carve out a bigger role, to be bigger play assets, such as like Travion Henderson, who you can get like a couple rounds later. I like him as far as his value goes a lot more. I even like Caleb Johnson more at his range. It's like RJ Harvey, especially because running backs could be such a premium, could sneak into the 5th round sometimes. And I, at least in some of the mocks I do, and I don't like that value for a guy. We really don't know what his role could look like. And then I think the other guy said was Breece Hall. Like there are so many question marks with Breece. He's so talented, but he suffered multiple injuries. He is now in an offense with Tanner. I can't pronounce his last name. Angstrom. He came from Detroit. He's now their offensive coordinator. And based on rumors I've read, they're looking to really embrace a committee type backfield and maybe even Gibbs, Montgomery-esque, where they have Braylon Allen and Breece Hall kind of exchanging carries.
Isaiah Davis. Let's not forget the best running back in that room. Yes, thank you.
Exactly. And Isaiah Davis exists, and so does Justin Fields. So there are just so many guys there that could be taking away from from rush attempts. And on top of the fact that you have to factor in what type of team a running back plays for, the Jets are probably not going to be very good, which could lead to more opportunities for him through the air, but they're probably going to be in negative game scripts a lot, which will take away the opportunities on the ground. So I think that's something people kind of forget, generally speaking, when talking about running backs. For Breece, it might not affect him as much because he is a receiver too, but still definitely hurts him in that way on top of it.
He's a good receiver, but then you have Fields as your quarterback who has been wide receiver heavy his whole career. He is not a dump down kind of guy. So it's definitely safe to assume, even if they are in negative game scripts, that's receivers getting that work. It's not going to be tight ends, it's not going to be running backs. And honestly, like I was thinking about it, if there was a boom or bust category, Breece Hall would be the headliner because like he could boom. The offensive line is much better. He is, an athletic, talented young running back, but like everything has to go so right for him. Like he has to somehow improve, be better than the last 2 years. They have to pass the ball more. The line has to be better. And the running backs behind him have to never touch a carry.
Yep.
So this doesn't seem great.
He had more fumbles and touchdowns last year, which I thought was
horrible.
A very not great stat. And if it does end up being a Allen and Breece situation that they're trying to emulate of like Gibbs and Monty, that probably limits what red zone opportunities or goal line carries he gets as well. Yeah. And Fields will be also eating into that, because he certainly is going to happily take the football on any read option. So, yeah, I don't know. It's just a little rich for me. 34th overall. He's running back 13. Like, I'm good.
I think it could be worth a swing, especially if you don't have any good running backs. And he's like the last one that has the upside looking at you. But he's going a little high especially for him to just be your RB2. Or if you go RB late and he's supposed to be your RB1, not a good look.
Yeah,
I would be sweating all season because you're going to get those 3-pointers. Even in PPR formats, he was getting 5-point games, which is all that will lose you your week if your 4th round pick is getting you 5 points.
Yep. I mean, he's more of a I don't think I've really seen him drop to the 4th round too often. I think it's more so late 3rd and mid to late 3rd. And I'm kind of losing my train of thought. I think, though, I was just going to say, the 3rd round to me has become my least favorite round of the entire draft, because it just feels like you're overpaying for somebody, and no matter who you end up taking. And that goes for all the other running back options. I don't love James Cook there. I don't love Kyren Williams there. But as far as quarterbacks or maybe other wide receivers, I'm probably avoiding running back in round 3 entirely, unless I absolutely have to.
Yeah. They'll always fall. Somebody will always fall, but just according to the actual mocks, what we've seen go on.
Yeah.
Stay away from Breece Hall. I'm with it.
Who are your 5?
I shared one. I also had I had Aaron Jones on there as well. I had Jonathan Taylor, number 4. Number 3, I put Kyren Williams. 2, Christian McCaffrey. And number 1, Saquon Barkley. Which is kind of crazy to say after one of the best running back seasons in a while. But when you look at Saquon's career, how many times he's actually played 14 plus games? It's very few. It's actually 2. So now the fact that he's going to have to come and pound the rock a ton again after having by far the biggest workload of his career, I just don't feel good about that. To have to pray that he's healthy after receiving a monster workload, which is the reason why RB1s pretty much never repeat, because a human body just cannot go through that many car crashes in 1 year. And he went through more than anybody last year. So it's just, I'm pretty nervous about that.
Do you suspect that I feel like there's this thing that happens with dominant offenses in the NFL where 1 year they might be super dominant on the ground, and then the next year they might have a shift in philosophy where all of a sudden, they start to air it out a little bit more. I could very easily see, because A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, respectively, had, I would call it down years simply because they were running the ball so much. I wonder if they do start to lean into more of a pass-heavy identity, just because that's just what happens. You have to evolve. If you go into the season trying to run the exact same thing back, you're bound to get figured out a lot quicker. So I do kind of in the back of my mind believe that there's a chance that we see a bigger season from the receivers than we do from Barkley. But I don't know. I've just kind of stayed away from Barkley, and not because I'm fading him, but because I'm just so unsure on how to feel.
Yeah, and that's kind of my thing. Like, I think that if he does play a full season, like, and he has played a couple full seasons, like, it's not like he's incapable of it, but just over the last 4 years, he's only had 14 plus games like twice.
Mhm.
So I do worry about that, and especially that was when he was getting like maybe 280 touches, 300 touches, not last year where he had like almost 400, 500. I think it was about 500, including the playoffs.
Mhm.
So to expect him just to come in and be fully healthy at age like 28, 29, it's just concerning when there's other running backs that are really young, that are still pretty fresh, that I would just kind of prefer over him.
Yeah, I mean that high up, like you're having to spend at least probably top 5 pick. I mean, I rarely
Yes.
ever see him fall out of there.
Yeah.
And even you have to take into account who else you're passing on. Like I think the other thing that gets lost in conversations like this is, oh, what other running backs are you passing on in that range? But it's not just running backs. You are talking about what else receiver wise, and kind of what I was saying earlier, tight end wise, and
Yeah.
quarterback wise. It's like at that range, you could end up getting like a CeeDee Lamb or a Justin Jefferson or Nico Collins. If you're like, who knows who else you're high on that you could go with instead, who in my opinion could be more of a surefire pick to
Yeah.
kind of really meet what he's going at. So I do see some valid concern. It's just I feel like it's like voodoo to like
It is like voodoo.
wish.
The Madden curse is a real thing.
Yeah,
Like, it's just like we in our Discord, we've had a lot of arguments about running backs lately, and so I've looked at a lot of like the best running back of all time stats, all of them. Extremely rarely do they ever produce peak numbers back to back years. Like, almost every time, it's like first 3 years in the league they go crazy, and then they kind of take a dip for 3 years, and then they come back, and then they dip again, then they come back. It's just very rare to see somebody at their peak for a very long time, especially someone like Barkley that's dealt with lower body injuries a couple times in his career.
Mhm.
I think it was almost a miracle that they were able to get that out of him last year. And it's hard to expect that again.
Yeah, I think he put some people at ease with the injury stuff because he was one of those guys in New York where, every time he was on the ground, you're like, please get up, please get up, please get up.
Right. And he's not injury prone. Like, it's not like he's missing a crazy amount of games per year. It's just like he always used to miss a few. Like, he had a couple 13, 14 game seasons. He did have 2020 where he missed almost every game. And then the last 3 years, he has done a pretty good job of staying on the field, which is also partially why I'm so concerned, because you're just getting 300, 400, 500 touches back to back to back. It's just a little worrisome, especially when you're getting up in this running back age of 28, 29, where you start to see some real decline.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't not see the vision. I just don't have the balls to say face Saquon Barkley.
I mean, I'm not telling you not to draft him. If he's there at 5, sure, do it. But like, me personally,
Yeah.
I want my first round picks to stay on the field. And I think he just has a better chance of the other running backs to be more banged up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I don't think you're wrong at all. And I feel like you obviously are thinking Christian McCaffrey could miss some time again too. I assume that's part of it.
Like, his isn't even like projecting. He literally has things wrong with him still. Like,
yeah,
last year they were like, oh, it's just some it's a calf strain. And then like the single day before his first game, they're like, actually, it's an Achilles. And everyone's like, what? I drafted him because you said calf strain. Calf strain's like 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's Achilles. It's going to take him out till week 10. And then he gets hurt again. So, yeah, I just, again, at his age, I'm staying away the best I can.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And his ADP is rising. Like, I don't know if you've been paying attention, but
yeah,
when our Discord started mock drafting like mid-April, so we've been mocking for a while, and now we're at the start of July, and his ADP went from like late second, early third, and now he's getting taken as early as the end of the first round. Like, people are really kind of buying back in, and it's like, yeah, the allure of Christian McCaffrey in fantasy football is so strong, but it just is. to me, I want to mitigate risk as much as possible with my
Yes.
higher selections. That should be the goal of your first, second, and even third round picks. If
Yeah.
you're taking a guy that ends up getting hurt or taking a guy that has the possibility of getting injured and missing a lot of time, it's like that just puts such a big question mark on your team the rest of the year. And you're constantly trying to fight against that because your highest selection or second highest selection is not in your lineup and you're fucked. It's such a hard thing to come back from. So,
yeah. I mean, 2022 McCaffrey was like the greatest fantasy running back ever, but he has only played one even close to full season since then. And that was 2023 when everyone drafted him first overall last year because of that. And I think it would just be crazy to draft him in the first round again, knowing what he just did to everybody last year, how sour of a taste that must leave.
Oh yeah. Oh,
not touching my team. Get away. Please get away.
I don't disagree. Was there? I feel like there was another name on your list that was worth talking about too. I just don't.
I had Kyron Williams, Jonathan Taylor, and Aaron Jones.
Okay. I feel like those are. I feel like Kyron is. I don't know. Kyron's a weird.
Kyron is a really good fantasy player if he is the only starter. Like if he did what he did last year, he's easy 12 plus touchdowns. Like he gets all the goal line work. He gets, he doesn't get a lot of receiving work, but he's the only guy out there. But with what they've put into the other running backs, Blake Corum, Jarquez Hunter, I would be shocked if they just run Kyron Williams out there for 90% snap shares again.
Mm-hmm.
I think he'll still be valuable. I think he'll still be a good player to have on your team. But at his current ADP, to have him as your RB1, RB2, I would stay away from that.
Yeah, I agree. He's not in my top 5 fades, but anytime I pick him, I feel like I'm overdrafting him, and I've started to avoid him.
Like you're counting on him to be the exact same way he was last year, and you're counting on the two running backs they've spent like second and fourth round picks on. You're counting on them to do nothing, and I think that's just hard to do at this time.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to take Kyron Williams, which is like end of second, early third, you're almost better off waiting on James Cook because to me, they're the same fantasy player. They're guys that, I mean, James Cook's probably better. I mean, he is in a very dominant run-heavy offense as the defined RB1 with no other investment into it, at least as far as this offseason goes. And they're both very touchdown dependent. Yeah. So why not just take James Cook a little bit later?
But there are some people like James Cook that like I actually kind of almost disagree. Like I actually really like his value in fantasy this year. So I actually had him as my number 5 on my best value running backs, which is our next category. I also shared him with Ken Walker, with my best friend Chase Brown, with James Conner, and I did have Breece Hall on here because of the upside, but it's a weary one. It is a very weary one.
Yeah, Breece. We already talked about Breece a lot, but let's talk about Cook. I mean, he's been such a talking point this offseason. He's a guy that it's weird. Like, part of me wants to believe that we could see more Ray Davis in 2025 because they're kind of going to soft launch James Cook's departure because, in my opinion, he's likely not around next year. So it does worry me. And if Ray Davis is going to be more involved, I would suspect it's going to be when it's the dirty areas of the field down near the goal line. So it does potentially scare me because Cook barely cleared 1,000 yards last year. And for a guy that I felt like had so many explosive plays, I was kind of shocked by that. But his value is certainly better than Kyron. Let's put it that way. That's how I feel.
Yeah. He'll get more receiving work still, even though he's not an amazing receiver. Like he still was a very high profile goal line player, despite Josh Allen stealing like every touchdown. Like he still was very valuable. And there is the chance that they try to soft launch him, put Ray Davis in. But there is also the chance that like they know this is his last year and they're just going to use him until he can't be used anymore. Like they're just going to pound him into the ground. Because like part of why we haven't seen running backs get a giant load the past 10 years is because teams are trying to save them. Like they're not trying to use up their running backs' best years like Priest Holmes, run him into the ground and only have 5 good years. Like they want to have a good career. But if James Cook is gone, like, okay, fine. Here's 400 touches for you, James Cook. Like this, because he's very efficient. Like the offense is best when James Cook is running the ball, sets it up for Josh Allen. So why not? Like if this is his last year, pound him.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see what his workload looks like because it could very easily go either way. Like,
It could.
Maybe they are trying to keep him, and they do kind of, make it so his year is kind of shitty. Like they limit his workload, so they're looking for the long term, and they justify, kind of lowballing him the next time the offers come up, and then they keep him for the long term, or yeah, like you said, they run him into the ground because he's going bye now. So I
Yeah.
mean, it's very weird, like because it's like we're talking about a human, and this is how running backs
Right.
get talked about. So it's like
Yes.
it's
Like
so
they
weird.
treat them like it's politics.
Yeah,
Like
literally.
it's just like, what can I get from you? What do you give me? Like, and then they're so disposable. It's like, okay, well, we're just gonna replace you. Like we don't really need you anymore.
Mhm,
And it's like the only position where like you can have a Pro Bowl caliber player there. And they're like, okay, we're just gonna draft your replacement like in the 5th round, and it'll be perfectly fine.
mhm.
That's the only position that exists that way, and I kind of feel bad for them, like all of them.
Yeah, me too. It's a very like odd thing to talk about, but it's just the truth. People just write it off as like it's business, which is something I do. But I mean, I guess
It is
it
business,
is
but at the same
business.
time, it's also a person, and it's like your teammate and your
Yeah,
player and a person that has been very important to you. So I think that going out on a note this sour would be pretty bad. But in his mind, it also is a contract year for him.
hmm
So he's probably going to want the ball. Like he's probably going to want to prove, like, hey, here's 1,600 total yards. Here's 15 total touchdowns. Like I am worth this money. I am a
hmm
top dog. Give me top dog money. And if he only scampers out with like what 850 yards, 4 touchdowns, he's not getting that money. He's getting like Chase Brown money,
hmm
and that would suck for
Absolutely.
him. So I think he'll want it. And I think they'll want to pound him.
Yeah, yeah. Then he'd definitely be gone, and they don't have to worry
Yeah.
about paying him.
No.
So my top five best value running back. So at number 5, I have Brian Robinson. At number
Mm,
4, I have Jordan Mason. At number 3, I have Caleb Johnson. At number 2, I have Ken Walker. That's who I skipped. And at number 1, I have DeAndre Swift.
okay.
And I can't believe I'm saying that, but
I can't. I almost put him on mine, so I do not. But I actually like. I kind of wanted to get into Brian Robinson because we did have one called lottery tickets, was like another possible category we were doing, and I had Brian Robinson headlining that one because I feel like people kind of forget what he was doing in 2023. Like he
Mhm.
looked good, and he's still the starter. So I'm not sure where all the reservations coming from.
Right. It's kind of been the same outlook on this guy since he kind of assumed the starting role. It's like he's just this 8th to 9th, 7th to 8th to maybe 9th round pick, despite the fact that he's been the clear defined starting running back. He's a guy that has actually seen more receiving work than you'd expect. Like he's kind of proven enough that he's worth probably closer to a 6th or, maybe even 5th round pick. Yet for some reason his ADP never climbs, and he gets the goal line work on top of it too. So and they don't invest. They haven't really invested in the running back position. They got
No.
Ja'Cory Merritt, who the fuck,
Yeah,
a
seventh
7th
round pick.
rounder.
He's talented, but like, how often does a 7th round pick play over B. Rob and Eckler?
Right,
Like never.
exactly. So B Rob is one of those guys that I consider to be very game script reliant, going back to that whole
Hmm.
thing. Like he can very easily be phased out of a football game, like, a David Montgomery could be, for example. But that doesn't change the fact that when a team is good, like the Commanders were last year, they will be in competitive games where the run game is still full in swing. So I don't see
Yeah.
how a guy like him is still going as late as he does. Like I guess looking back at 2024, it wasn't as good of a season as I
It
remember,
wasn't
but
amazing. Like
2023 was the good year.
yeah, like he had a lot of games where he was involved heavily in the receiving game. Like
Hmm
I had him that year in fantasy. I know all about it.
Yeah.
And he like I think if anything, I think Austin Eckler kind of goes on the decline. We've known his limitations for a while, but we saw them in the playoffs when he, cost them some pretty big moments with fumbling and not being able to create anything for himself. And Brian Robinson, of all things considered, he hangs onto the ball pretty well and he can pound the rock forward and create for himself. So I
Mhm.
think that if he doesn't produce, it's just because they hate him. for some reason. Like, very easily could he just be a high volume RB1 on a really good offense, get a lot of goal line work,
Mm-hmm.
keep Jaden Daniels, from running the ball and getting destroyed like he was in college.
Right.
Like, it seems like a pretty easy game script for me.
Agreed. Like I see it. I see a clear path to a lot of work, which is really all that matters when it comes to running backs in fantasy football. If they're getting work, they're going to produce. And
Yep.
especially in his territory of where he's getting selected, there's far more upside with him than a lot of other guys. And the same can be said for DeAndre Swift. Like, I think there is a very justified hatred for him. No, I feel like you say DeAndre Swift and like it comes off the tongue and you feel like gross. But
Yeah, like, we're doing this again, you idiot.
exactly. But the reality is, they similar to Washington. They drafted a 7th-round running back that likely isn't going to be really touching his workload. At least he saw like 263 carries last year, which is insane. 253. I'm sorry, and he also had the 4th most routes run of any running back in football. It's like this is a guy that is getting an unbelievable amount of opportunity, both on the ground and through the air. And because his name is DeAndre Swift, no one wants to touch him. He has become my most selected 5th-round pick because and that's very high. Like he's getting drafted on average. He's the 78th overall pick, RB 28. In most of the mocks I do, running backs go higher than the ADP because they're such a premium. But I've just started to draft him in the fucking 5th round. I don't care anymore. I don't like anyone else.
No, like it's that, or you're taking a big swing on a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
And DeAndre Swift's proven he's better than a lot of rookies.
Right, and he's now behind a very much so improved interior offensive line. Ben Johnson, I think, obviously likes him. He worked with him back when he was in Detroit, and he saw a lot of work through the air back then too. So I don't see any reason to dislike DeAndre Swift, especially at his price. Like I think he should be one of the most heavily drafted running backs in fantasy football at this point.
Unless he's just that bad on the field, like where like his vision is still bad to the point where they bench him for like Roshan Johnson or something. But like aside from just tragedy, I just don't see how he's not higher than RB 28.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
Right. Yeah. Sleeper has him at RB 28, and I don't think it's really much better anywhere else. I know people talk about underdog rankings and stuff, but most people, most casual and, the broader fantasy football player isn't on underdog. So this is definitely for more of a, covering more ground than just like a niche best ball target audience, which is really the big thing now. But
underdogs for freaks.
Yeah, really.
Like this is for people that play on ESPN or Sleeper or something. Like be normal.
Right, exactly.
Enjoy football for once. Yeah.
I did want to talk about Ken Walker quick though too, because we both had him on our list. And Ken, to me, obviously the injury thing is a big deal, and maybe that scares you away from what's like a 4th round grade, 4th round price. But he produced so much. I feel like in just the 11 games he played, he was forcing tons of missed tackles. We talked about it during our running back summit. He forced like more missed tackles than any running back in the amount of work he had. And he also saw 52 targets in those 11 games. And I think if he continued on that pace, he would have been like top 5 as far as, running back target share goes. And now he gets Clint Kubiak in the offense, who had Alvin Kamara looking like he was in his prime when that offensive line was healthy. So I trust that he can kind of make Ken Walker look similar as long as he's on the fucking football field.
Right. Like I have my own issues with that offense and that scheme, but they've had those same issues forever. Like he's had Charbonnet in his offense. He's had, bad offensive play calling. He's had bad offensive lines. He's had up and down quarterback play for his career. So it's like, I don't see how those things could be a huge deterrent like they are to some people. Like if anything, his play calling improved. They're probably going to pass the ball less. I don't see why he's just not better than he was before. And he was previously a pretty decent fantasy running back.
Yes.
So if he's even a step higher than that, I think he's well worth a good pick.
Absolutely. Like I'm taking him before who were we just ranting about? Like Brees. It was Brees. I think I take Ken in the 4th before Brees in the 3rd.
That's fair. Yeah, I would too.
So, but yeah, I don't think there's anything.
I've seen Ken. I've seen some people love Ken Walker though. Like At this point, I don't even know if he has a great value pick because everyone kind of agrees at this point. Everybody's kind of reaching on him, a
Mhm.
half round, maybe even a full round higher than they should, but rightfully so. Like,
Mm.
I'm not gonna say it's a bad pick if you reach on someone like Ken Walker.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of alluded to it earlier. I do think running backs are being reached for more
Mhm.
than any other player because there's just not enough of them to go around, like enough that get good work that will produce.
Mhm.
Like those just don't. There's not a plethora of them, so that's why guys like at least in my case, DeAndre Swift, I'm willing to reach for in the 5th round because I want to get the guy I know is going to get a lot of work, regardless of what the production might end up looking like. I'll just bet on the work. So,
Yeah,
I feel like ADP and RB ranks is just very, I don't know. I don't want to call it fake, but not too true because I feel like all of these guys go over what it suggests.
I know. Even like backup running backs do. Like last year, like if you probably remember Jordan Mason, how high he was going. Like people, it is now a premium to get your running back's backup running back. And there are
Mhm.
backup running backs, there are what we call handcuffs, going significantly higher than even starting receivers. Like I have seen handcuffs go higher than Jerry Judy, who had 1,300 yards last year. Like that is how scared that is how much people love running backs, and it's how scared they are to lose their own starting running back. But if you had to rank your top 5 handcuffs, who you got?
My top 5 handcuffs go as follows. I'm going to lightly throw Tajay Spears in as a fringe
Ah,
honorable mention because I really wanted to put him here and I couldn't. So, honorable mention Tajay Spears. At number 5, I have Tank Bigsby. At number 4, I have Rico Dowdle. At number 3, I have Trey Benson. Number 2, Zach Charbonnet. And number 1, Isaac Garendo. I would imagine we
oh,
share a bit of similar ones.
we definitely have a few. Yeah, not in the same order, but definitely the same ideas. Because I have number 5. It's not a strong ranking. I have Garendo at 5, Tank Bigsby at 4, Cam Scatabo at 3,
Fuck.
and then I have Jordan Mason 2, Zach Charbonnet number 1.
I fumbled.
Charbonnet, I feel great about because I think that he is a top 30 running back in the NFL. I think he could damn near be a top 20 running back in the NFL if he ever got his chance.
Oh,
So if
yeah.
Ken Walker goes down again, you know who I'm picking.
Absolutely.
But yeah, Cam. It was hard to put some running backs on here because you're like, yeah, technically, like Quinshon Judkins is still RB2, but he's not a handcuff at all. Like
Hmm.
he'll be starting by week 4. So it was kind of hard to differentiate, but I think we kind of did the same thing.
Yeah, that was my thought process, and that's kind of why I think I didn't think of Scatabo because I'm so high on the fact that I think he's going to cut into Tyrone Tracy's work so fast that
Yeah.
it didn't even cross my mind as a handcuff. But as far as week 1 goes, he's undoubtedly the
Mhm.
clear RB2, and who knows how long that. I mean, my love for him doesn't mean he's going to be the RB, the 50-50 running back with Tyrone at any time in
No,
this
I mean,
season at all.
but
So
if anything happens though to Tyrone Tracy at all, I think Cam Scatabo immediately is like a very premium running back to own.
yeah, the same can be said for Garendo. It's like for a guy like McCaffrey, we were talking about that missed pretty much all of the season last year. And for the 49ers to trade away, Jordan Mason because, they didn't want to pay him the fucking 2 million pennies that it cost to retain him. They're putting their faith in Garendo to be that guy. They drafted Jordan James too, I believe.
And look, I think
So,
Jordan James plays a similar brand to Jordan Mason,
yeah.
which is kind of why I'm like kind of weary because I think there's a world where Jordan James is better than Garendo because Garendo's got his own problems, but like I'm taking any running back in a Shanahan system ever. Like it doesn't matter really, unless it was like that weird stint that Patrick Taylor did last year for like one individual game and he had like 1 point. Aside from that, I'm taking almost every other Shanahan running back.
Yeah, true. I mean, I feel like if Garendo didn't do as well as he did with the opportunities he got, they probably would be. I think the sign of the drafting of Jordan James would be like, okay, Garendo, you have to really compete for this. But I feel like Garendo has a pretty solid grasp on that job, and
Hmm?
he's got that big playability too. I mean, we know how fast that guy is. The 40-yard dash was crazy, and he had a couple of huge plays when he had the chance last season. I think it was his first carry, wasn't it?
It
A
was one
couple
of
of
them
years
for
ago
sure.
that went like almost all the way to the end zone. I think was it against the
It was definitely his first game that he played in because I was a pretty big fan of Garendo coming out of college, and he was a guy I scouted heavily, especially after the combine he had, and I believed in him. I believed in him in that system, and it didn't look great at first. Yeah, he really struggled to get going, but then he started just popping off big runs, and I got excited. But
yeah.
him for a full season, like with an expectation he'll be starting, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I feel for a guy like Tank Bigsby too. I don't want to talk about him necessarily that much, but I want to talk about the guy that I think he could potentially end up starting over at some point in Travis Etienne because he's such a
Mhm.
polarizing fantasy player that I don't think will end up getting talked about based on the rest of our rankings unless he, he might make another one of your lists,
Not
but
for me, no.
no, right. So I feel like he does deserve some conversation because I don't think anybody really knows what to do or how to feel about him. But to
Well, don't
me,
listen to me. Like, yes.
yeah, I don't know. Like I think ETN's going to have the chance to kind of retain the job, but I think Tank Bigsby was just that good that he just eventually just slips into not the RB1 role, but they're going to be splitting carries I think by week 9 or 10.
Dude, it feels like ETN's been in the league for like 6 years. He has played 3 seasons of NFL football. And he's had over 1,000 yards rushing in 2 of them. Last year was like the only down year where he ran for about 560. And everyone's like, oh my God, he's the worst thing ever. He deserves death. Like, he does not deserve to be happy ever. Like, Travis Etienne is being heavily disrespected. And I kind of agree. Like, it was not good last year. But also, like, the idea of a running back as talented as him playing under Liam Cohen, playing in a completely new offense, like, there is something there to be excited about. I just don't know yet.
Yep, I don't either. He's definitely he fits that DeAndre Swift description. It's like
Yes.
they fall in the same bucket of guys that no one wants to touch because everyone hates them and their
Yeah.
ADP won't rise because of it, no matter how good their outlook is perceived. Like both of these guys have, I think, very attractive projections and they're just never going to rise on boards because of their names. And at least for Swift, like he had a defined workload last year. Like we saw a number that we can kind of look at 2025 and say he could reach. And the thing that can't be said for ETN, which is why I think I'm a lot more worried about it. But that doesn't change the fact that there is so much optimism with the changes that have went on with both of these offenses. So
Yeah.
ETN's a guy that I might even start dabbling in a little bit more myself. Now that I
Yeah.
think about it, because why
He's
not?
going
It's
very
like
late.
9th, 10th round, I think.
Yeah.
So I haven't drafted him much, so I don't really know. But
I don't know. He's a hard one because it also feels like every year, especially when the draft happens, there's like 25 running backs that get drafted every single year, and they almost every single team gets one of them. And usually, like 3 or 4 of these, like 5th, 6th, 7th, or undrafted running backs, kind of sneak in there and take over a role or take over a pretty big role. So, do you see any deep sleepers in this fantasy football draft cycle that you have your eye on? Any top 5s per chance?
so I do have 4 that I'm pretty confident in as far as putting them on this list. The 5th one
Mm.
I've kind of had up in the air. Like I'm not too sure how to really feel about it. But anyway, my top 5 will go as follows. So number 5 is Devin Neal.
Mm.
Number 4 is Keaton Mitchell. I just don't know how to feel about it yet. Number
Yeah.
3 is one of Braylon Allen or Isaiah Davis. I feel like they
You know
both.
which one it is.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think. I do. I think it's Braylon. I think it's gonna be
Nope.
Braylon.
Watch him play. He's terrible. He's the worst player of all time.
Number 3 is, I guess, Braylon. Number 2 is DJ Giddens. And then number
Ooh.
1 is Brashard Smith, Kansas City
Oh,
running back. So, yeah,
okay.
those are 5. 5.
I share a couple names there.
But Roshan Johnson also deserves a mention, I
He
think, too.
does. He does. Because he could take over the starting role, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, and to premise, if he counted on this, I would put Jaden Blue on here 1000%.
Yeah.
Because Jaden Blue, he's not that deep of a sleeper anymore, but he kind of is still. Like he's like anyone that's like the RB2 or RB3 has a chance to be on there to me.
Yeah.
But for me, number 5, I put Will Shipley. As much as I hate
Oh,
looking at the guy,
man.
it's also partially like if Saquon gets hurt and how much I think AJ Dillon is not that good. I think Will Shipley immediately is like a 50 catches kind of running back. Number 4, similar to Roshan Johnson, I put Kyle Monangai on there because they drafted him for a reason. They like what they saw. And Ben Johnson's a little weirdo. He's a little freak. Like if for whatever reason he prefers the 7th round running back, he will play over the starters. He is not attached to people at all.
Mhm.
Number 3, I also had Devin Neal, a guy I thought was pretty comfortably a top 10 running back in the draft. Goes behind Alvin Kamara, who has struggled to stay healthy throughout his career. And Kendry Miller hasn't stayed healthy at all. So I think it's pretty reasonable. Devin Neal could be up there. And then I also had Baishal Tutton on my list. Another guy who's like a borderline sleeper, but he's just so damn explosive that like if he takes over a starting role, he could be pretty similar to what Isaac Guerrero was last year.
Yeah, Tutton, I kept Tutton off only because I think, well, obviously there's just the competition in front of him. I think there's just so much, which goes to, kind of plays to his benefit. Like we don't know what ETN could be this year, so that kind of could vacate some work in that way. I think Bigsby will be, if they really want to be an offense that is looking to rush the ball and be physical between the tackles, like that's where Bigsby's going to slide in. And obviously Tutton is not fitting that description.
No.
But it's like, other than that big playability, is Tutton going to do anything better than ETN? Because he's also got that, he's also somebody that can break one free pretty often. So it's like, I think if they're looking for someone to be that, I have a hard time believing that he can beat out ETN quickly enough to be relevant.
I think he is more than just that. Like he does have the best combination of like compactness, but also explosiveness through the line. It's just the fact that he fumbles so much, and we haven't really seen him have to pass block. I do find it hard that he would beat out those guys at all because they've been in the NFL a while. They both, have played some pretty good NFL reps. They've both had to pass block. They both had to hang on to the ball, and Tutton can't do that. But if anything happened to them, God forbid, I think in a few, 5-6 fantasy game stretch, he could go off while teams still like try to gather the tape on him, still try to figure out how to stop him.
Yeah, I envision him being more of a gadget than ever, like kind of taking on a full role where you're like, I can plug him into my lineup and feel like there's something gonna, like he's a guy that any week he could get 1 or 2 touches and one goes like 73 yards for the touchdown, and then it's like he's like that boom play you put in your flex, and you're like Marquez Valdez-Scantling. It's like maybe he'll have 0 points, or he could just have one or 2 plays that go like for 85 yards. And
he had like last year, he had like 2 catches for like 147 yards and 2 touchdowns in one game. It was nasty.
It was nasty.
That's kind of how I felt about Rashard Smith, because he was a guy I was worried about as a prospect, because I'm like, he's like the skinniest running back I've ever seen. Like converted wide receiver. He is a phenomenal route runner. He's a phenomenal receiver, but he can't do anything as a pass blocker. So I'm like, will he actually play on 3rd downs? Will he be more of a gadget guy? But I do trust Andy Reid more than most to actually involve a young, no-name gadget guy. Like I think that there is a chance that he does get to play, because he's a far better receiver than Kareem Hunt and Pacheco, like by a lot.
Oh yeah, and that's why I kind of, in best case scenario, he kind of is their new Jerick McKinnon, which they loved.
Yeah.
But he was also fantastic in pass protection, so that's where he's going to have to kind of make up for. But in that role, like he was a fantasy league winner toward the end of when he was popping off that year. He was on the team that ended up winning my league's championship. Like he got picked up and ended up being the RB2 for that team because he was just catching pass after pass after pass.
Yeah,
he was scoring a lot. So,
so it was like
perfect world. Smith could be that, and like you said, Pacheco and Hunt are not guys you want really catching passes. So it's
no.
I mean, I hate the idea of wide receivers converting to running back. I just feel like that doesn't work. But in
it doesn't for starters
situation, it could.
Yeah, like that's why like as an overall prospect, when I'm doing my rankings, I had him pretty low, like in the 20s, because I'm like realistically, is this guy ever getting 290 carries in a year? Is he ever being able to manage any kind of workload? Probably not. But like there is some excitement in the right offense with one of the best quarterbacks of all time, with one of the best offensive minded coaches of all time. Something could happen. He's not as
Absolutely.
strong as Jerick McKinnon, the strongest running back of all time, but he is a better receiver than most.
Yeah. Yeah. So that will be exciting. I
It will be.
I mean, I'm just going through the list of running backs, and there are so many guys that we're not going to talk about just because
I know it's
there are
hard.
so
There's so
many.
many running backs,
There are so many.
and I feel like
And
we've even barely got to get to like the best guys. I feel like we've just been trying to talk about the middle rounds because that's where you eat.
mhm.
Like the middle rounds are where you eat, but the top 10 running backs, the first two rounds still are extremely valuable. So do you have a top 10 list of your top 10 2025-2026 season NFL fantasy running backs?
I do. I do have a top 10, and it's not something I feel the most confident in because it's so tough to project this out. But I do feel like the 10 guys I have, I almost feel like it has to be these 10 in some sort of order.
Yes, but like you can't explain yourself. You just have to say them, and people will be mad at you. You can't
Yeah.
explain it.
All right. No explanation. My
Oh,
top
okay.
10. At number 10, I have Ashton Genty. At number 9, I have Josh Jacobs. At number 8, I have Christian McCaffrey. At number 7, I have. Oh, wait. Hold on. I'm going to reset one. You go. My list is fucked. Go ahead.
My list. I have number 10. I have Chase Brown. Number 9. I have Bucky Irving. 8. I have Christian McCaffrey. 7. Josh Jacobs. 6. Ashton Genty. Number 5. I have Derrick Henry. Number 4. Devon Achan. 3. Jameer Gibbs. 2. Saquon. Number 1. Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, I know you. I know Bijan was your guy. He's been your guy to be RB1 for a while. I don't
He's the
know.
safe guy to me.
He
It's just like he's been generally pretty healthy. He had crazy numbers last year. All he has to do is marginally improve, and the guys above him have to marginally decrease, and he can absolutely be flirting with RB1.
mm, yeah,
He's also like 23. He's also like 23 years old.
it's always like I feel like the RB1. This could be entirely off base because I don't have anything to statistically back it up. But it's always either somebody that's young or somebody that went to a new team that we knew was already talented. Like that's been the case with McCaffrey, at least the last
Yeah,
time he was, and now Barkley, and then
and that
the
yeah
rest of it is usually just a young stud.
yeah. It used to be the opposite. Like there was a study that was going around for a while that I used to watch, where like a a veteran running back on like his second or third contract going to a new team almost always got so much worse. It was a
Mhm.
horrible thing. And then like the last few years, Josh Jacobs, Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry have completely flipped it. So now I have no idea what to think.
Right, exactly.
But I think the
So
biggest oh yeah, no, go ahead. I
no,
want to hear this.
I do. I put it together. I had Genty on my
Okay.
list twice, and that's why I
Oh,
stumbled.
okay.
So I have my top 10, and it goes like this. At 10, I do have Ken Walker. At 9, I have Ashton Genty. 8, Josh Jacobs. 7, Christian McCaffrey. 6, Bucky Irving. 5, Derrick Henry. 4, Jameer Gibbs. 3, Saquon Barkley. 2, Bijan Robinson. And 1, maybe my hottest take of the year, Devon Achan as RB1. I don't know how hot that is, but
I think it's hot, but I could have put him higher than where I had him. And I had him at what RB4. That's pretty damn high, like compared to his current ADP. I could easily see him having a peak Austin Eckler year this year.
yes.
And I think that the Jonnu Smith trade only boosted him a lot more on my rankings. So I would not be shocked if he did better than Gibbs at
Yeah.
all.
That's really what it was. A lot of it was the vacated opportunity that Jonnu Smith is leaving behind. It's like him and Achan and Jonnu saw like a combined 60 something designed targets in 2024. And I think that was the number. Regardless, whatever it was, they both were seeing so much designed work because they had to get the ball out fast. And these two guys were great after the catch. So that's what they were doing. They were keeping them close at the line of scrimmage to make the pass easy for Tua, and they were running. So, Achane is he's going to be in that same role. I don't suspect Jalen Wright to be anything more than, change of pace. If Achane goes down, he'll be the next man up. But I think this is Achane's backfield. He's got more upside, just as much upside as anybody else with his big playability. And he's a guy we've seen pop off on scales that is hard for anybody to reach. Even Barkley at his best. That's really the only other guy I could think of that has reached heights that I feel like we've seen Achane hit in terms of how many big plays he can have in a game and how many points he could end up. I don't know, Henry maybe, Bijan maybe, but I don't think they can reach the heights of a Barkley and Achane could or has.
No, the reason you take Bijan and Derrick Henry is safety. Yes. They generally stay pretty healthy. They're getting a big workload. That's not in question. Even if the offensive line struggles, they're still going to produce. And they're the RB1 by a lot. But someone like Achane is not even that risky to me.
No.
Because of just how involved they are. Last year, in his quote unquote down year, he still had over 900 yards, still had over 70 catches, still had 600 receiving yards. And that was but that was with Tua missing time. That was with Jonnu Smith eating a ton of screens and underneath work. Without all that, and Devon Achane going into his age 23, 24 year, there's no reason he can't go berserk. And We've seen it before. This isn't even a projection. We've seen him do it before. This is kind of just us thinking he might do it again.
Yeah, I mean, I was one I faded him last year because I was worried about, Tua's health. I was worried about his health and all sorts of things like that. But seeing him take the hits and, have the work he had last year and stay healthy, that proved to me he was a bit tougher than I think I thought. I thought he was kind of just, that fast, gadgety type of running back that he saw so much great opportunity that fit who he was so well that he just took it and ran with it. We were talking about with Nico, the amount of opportunities he had that just were a clear runway to the end zone where he just had to run by people. He took advantage of it. But then last year, he really had to be physical. He really was getting down and dirty, and he wasn't necessarily efficient at times, but he didn't get hurt, which was my biggest concern. So now if he doesn't have to really deal with this much contact before the line of scrimmage, and, the interior offensive line is slightly better, and they really do start to lean into that brown nose line of scrimmage eating type of offense, then I think Achane could go back to thriving. So
absolutely.
Yeah, I see a lot of hopefully good things. It's a risk. It's a bigger risk, of course, than a lot of the other guys, but I don't think it's, like you said, as big as people might be scared of.
No, I mean, last year, everything that could have gone wrong did, and he was still very valuable. Mm-hmm. Whether or not it was a good product on the field, on the app, on your phone, on the notifications, it was still a pretty good product, which is all what fantasy football is all about. Doesn't matter what happens on the actual NFL field. It just matters how many points they put in your pocket. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Achane has a really good chance to put the most points on the board of any running back in this whole fantasy draft.
Yep. Yeah, I think I have it mapped out this way. Achane is my RB1. Bijan would be my next bet. And then I would say as long as Barkley stays on the field, it's hard to imagine it's not the case, but he would be third, but comfortably third. I think Achane and Bijan clear Barkley for me.
Well, I think for Barkley too, it's you are banking on another 2,000 rushing yard season because he's not getting the touchdowns. His quarterback is stealing all of them, and he's not getting crazy receiving work. Mm-hmm. So you're just kind of banking on these 50-yard rushing touchdowns over and over and over again. And he's the best in the world at it. There's a reason he's, the consensus best running back in the National Football League. But I think just banking on a player to do exactly what they just did in previous years, when they lose the offensive coordinator, when they lose their right guard, when they're banking on health, I just don't see a lot of improvement there. So if you don't improve, you usually decline a little bit.
Yep. I mean, and that's historically what we've seen. So it's not, history says the RB1 no more. He does not repeat. But someone that does.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say someone that does repeat as the best that we saw compete just a couple days ago was Joey Chestnut.
Oh my God.
And he, of
Yes.
course, dominated the competition again. He ate 70 and a half hot dogs, but the hypothetical was kicked around just like a day or so ago. That was one of the best hypotheticals I've ever heard in my life.
Yes.
So who would do the following first? Would Joey Chestnut be able to eat a hot dog and run 100 meters faster than Usain Bolt? They both have to do both things. Who would win?
Like if we're talking chewing, swallowing, every last morsel of that hot dog has to be in your gullet. Joey Chestnut's winning this match. And I think that people are overrating how fast someone like Usain Bolt, who has probably never had a hot dog in his life, guarantee you he hasn't. Like you are now hoping that this man can eat this hot dog at the speed of a competitive eater. He's not. He's not going to know what to do with it. He doesn't know how that bread works. He's from Jamaica. Like they don't eat hot dogs and hot dog buns. He's not going to know how to handle that. Joey Chestnut's going to have eaten it. He's going to be 50 meters already down the line by the time that hot dog even gets close to being chewed up. No shot.
I don't know. I feel like people just automatically assume because of how fast Chestnut can eat the hot dog, that means that Bolt will have no way to catch him. But 100 meters is pretty fucking long. It's like 110 yards. It's like an end zone. It's like the goal lines and then plus one end zone. So if Bolt can eat the hot dog in 10, 11 seconds, Chestnut does the shit where he dunks the bun in the water and then he just slugs it down his throat. I'm not going to say I could do that or Usain Bolt could do that, but Joey's we looked it up before the show. Joey Chestnut weighs 230 pounds at 6 foot. His strides are not going to be that long. It probably will take him 30 plus seconds to run 100 meters. You don't think so?
No, 30 seconds is we're talking a wheelchair can get down there in 30 seconds.
No, stop it. That's a far distance. Okay, 25.
If you look up a slow 100-meter time, a slow time, and this is for a regular runner, is 13 seconds. That is if you are one of the worst runners to play.
But you're still a runner.
You are. But that so we're talking the difference between Usain Bolt, who's running 9 something, and a very slow high school runner is about 4 seconds. And if you to say 30 seconds, I don't know about that. 25, I don't know about that.
It's just ChatGPT says that every person, I'm that ChatGPT guy, sorry, accepted. An average adult that would run one very slow would be over 20 seconds. I think it is comfortable to say that Chestnut would take at least 20 seconds to run that.
I think he's fit though. That's you see how many hot dogs he eats and how he's not fat still. I think the guy works out. I think that he goes for runs. And a recreational person in their 50s or 60s can get it done in about 18
how old
seconds.
Is this guy? Yeah, wait, how old is this guy?
I'd say 50s.
He is
maybe 40s.
Shit. He's only
41.
He's not even 40.
He's 41. No, he can move.
Is he 40?
His cholesterol's just really high.
He's 42. Yeah, okay, he's 42. 41? Why is this all saying different shit? How fucking old is he?
I see 41. He's born in 83.
Okay. Yes.
And he hasn't had his birthday yet. But I feel like people are overestimating how fast Usain Bolt can eat a hot dog.
But what is Usain Bolt's fastest 100-meter time ever?
9 something, right?
Fastest
9.58. So 9 point. It's insane. It's actually ridiculous when you think about it.
Okay. So if he can run it, let's say Joey Chestnut took 21 seconds to run 100.
Sure.
100 meters, basically a football field and an end zone. So that would be 21 seconds minus about 10 for Bolt. That's 11 seconds. So Bolt would have to eat the hot dog in about 11 seconds.
And the average time for a competitive eater is 7 to 8 seconds to eat a hot dog. That's a competitive eater.
And that's not Joey Chestnut, though.
No. Joey Chestnut's getting done faster than that. I'm talking Usain Bolt's going to be a lot more than 11 seconds.
You think so, though? Like, if the bun,
Yeah.
I've never tried eating a hot dog with, like, water soaked on it. Like, I think if you get the bun down, because that's the part you have to chew. You don't really have to chew the hot dog that much. You have to chew the fuck out of the bun. But if the bun is
Yeah.
soaked and you slide the bun down, like, all right, let's put it this way. What if they got to train for a week?
I don't know. Joey Chestnut just got a wet throat naturally. Super wet throat. And I don't know. I feel like he can go for a few runs, improve his time. I don't know.
Yeah, but that also, if
Yeah.
Usain develops a strategy to eat a hot dog in like 8 seconds, it's over. It's over. Like, there's no way.
It's yeah. If he gets to be a competitive level eater in like a week, there's no shot. But I think by the time Usain Bolt can even get halfway done, I think Joey Chestnut is already like 10 meters down. And by the time he even gets to swallow it, Joey Chestnut's over halfway there. And then then Usain's got to like put like while he's still struggling from that, he's got to like somehow recover and hit the fastest time he's ever ran. After eating a hot dog, he's gonna throw up.
I need to see Bolt eat a hot dog. Like, I don't, like you said, he probably never has. So I need to see him eat one.
The difference between this is like find someone half your speed. Like take a 6-year-old and put them on a line, me and him, give him a head start of like however long it would take for me to eat a hot dog. And then do I think I can hawk him down that quick? I don't think so. Like the kid's already halfway there. Like I'm fairly quick. I like to think, but like that kid's already almost gone. Like it's gonna be hard.
But the 6-year-old would take undoubtedly way longer to eat the hot dog. Like, we're talking like maybe.
No,
like
I'm saying
20.
like this kid already has like a head start on me. Like if
and
he's just halfway down.
Do you have to eat a hot
like
dog?
like just to get the idea of having to catch up to someone half your speed.
Okay.
Like there is a 6-year-old halfway down the field, and now I got to go catch him. There's no way. There's no shot.
I don't know. I think I can catch a 6-year-old as long as they're not like, a soccer player. If they're like,
if they're like about your neighbor, I'm talking about your neighbor, the 6-year-old. The first one you find, put him out there. I don't know if I'm catching him.
I think I do have a neighbor, but my neighbor's kid, I think he's like 11 though. Which would probably.
I don't want to talk about your neighbor's kid that much, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Typical Drake fan.
All right.
Right.
Go listen to the Drake song. What did I miss? It's not a waste of time.
The second you hear it, be like, what did I miss? Why is this being talked about?
If you just looked into Drake lore a little bit and like what's going into this album, you'll appreciate it. You're big on music
I have
stuff.
no choice but to listen to Drake. People pump it in my ears. You can do it, but don't do it in front of me.
Oh my God! Look,
I don't. Yeah, you keep shoving it down our throats. I don't want to see it.
Don't do it
in public.
Take like 5 minutes to go like look into the whole background of like what he named his album and why, and like you'll appreciate it as somebody that loves things that are in depth and whatever word you want to call like your music taste. Like you have a very in depth appreciation for things, and there is something to this. So I think you would understand and appreciate Drake more if you understood the song.
I'll give it a listen. I also do have the ability to give people I hate on an unbiased view. I've done it to Lamar Jackson. I can't stand him because he's a rival, but I do value he's probably like one of the best people to ever play the sport at some point. But we're talking Drake here.
Yeah, you got it.
But I will give it an unbiased listen. I will.
All right, fair enough. I think just because it's on our list and just because our Patreon member Michael Pena suggested that we talk about it, we have to give our top 5 chips.
Top 5 chips deal. Yeah.
All right, so we have our top 5 chips, and I feel like I guess I can talk about that.
This is 2 mentions for this guy in back-to-back episodes. Yes. We can't have this actually.
I know
his head's gonna get too big.
He's one of the impersonators. He should be shot. This was hard though because like I was trying to determine what chips I like to eat in moderation because of how much I enjoy it. Like some chips I can't eat too many of at once, but I
Understand that.
really like them.
Mhm.
Other chips, I might not love them, but I can sit there and eat a whole fucking bag just because they're for some reason just so easy to down. And you would think that would go hand in hand, but for me it doesn't. But I ended up
Okay.
kind of factoring that all in. But anyway, my top 5 chips go as follows. At number 5, I do have Doritos. They kind of fall in that bucket of I don't necessarily love them, but for whatever reason, if you gave me a bag of Doritos, like a family size bag, I could do a solid number on Doritos. At number 4, I have cheddar Chex Mix. This counts as a chip because you can't count it
I had
as
them
anything
yesterday.
else.
Not even kidding.
It's a chip. Yeah.
Sure.
What
Whatever.
else? What
I'll
else
allow
is
it.
it?
A mix.
At number 3, I am not counting this, but I guess I'll let you be the judge. I have Lay's Wavy, but with French onion chip dip. Only with
I
the chip
mean,
dip.
it's hard because you have to, like, can a chip be top 3 if you have to have it with something specific?
Probably not. But
Because I also, for my own fun, made a top 5 overrated list.
okay.
And that was a part of my valuation is like, yeah, it's a cool chip if you eat it with this. But we're talking standalone value here.
Yeah.
What is this good chip?
They are good. They're good alone. But it's like, how do I guess like if we ever did like a top 5 food combo, like chip and dip would fit.
So that's different. That's different, and
It
I could
is.
see the vision.
All right. So I'll take Lay's Wavy off. So Doritos 5, cheddar Chex Mix 4. My number 3 is just Lay's barbecue chips, just the traditional barbecue. They are so fucking good. And I've come to find out that there are barbecue chip haters in this world, and it drives me nuts. It doesn't have to be Lay's. They're just my favorite, but barbecue chips are so damn good. At number 2 is cheese puffs. I
Okay.
feel like we're just talking OG cheese puffs. It's hard to beat an OG cheese puff.
It is hard.
And at number 1, I have specifically Clancy's brand jalapeno kettle chips.
I
That you
appreciate
can
that.
get from Aldi's. They are delicious.
Those are delicious.
They fit the double description of chips that I can eat a whole bag of in one sitting and that I absolutely love the flavor of. So
Yeah, part of mine was like the addictive factor, like how
Yes.
many you feel like you have to eat, and then you eat half the bag, and you're like, "Oh my god, I'm fat."
yes, that's how those are. That's how I am with those.
Yeah, that's a good list. Mine's a little bit like kind of not niche. It's a little bit specific. So number 5, I have the Kettle brand salt and vinegar. Could be higher. I just forgot about them and I put them at 5.
Mhm.
Number 4, I have the Ruffles baked cheddar and sour cream. Specifically the baked. I've never been a big baked guy, but like during periods of my life where I want to eat a little healthier, it's a great chip. Number 3, not niche, Lay's Stacks. Very similar to Pringles, but I think they do them a little bit better. A little better crisp, a little bit better flavor.
Okay.
Number 2, I have the Kettle Honey Dijon chips. And let me tell you, I am not a Dijon mustard fan at all. But these chips specifically, I legitimately ate a full bag. Like the full bag like you put out at a party. I ate the full thing. I couldn't stop. Like someone was like, "Oh yeah, Austin won't like these. They're mustard flavored." And I tried one and I couldn't stop. The number 1 is Zapp's Voodoo chips.
What?
I'm not kidding.
What?
The Zapp's they're like they're Cajun style, New Orleans style.
What?
Zapp's Voodoo chips. They're not even that niche. Like they sell them all around.
All around where?
The
I've
country.
never heard of these in my life. Zaps?
Buffalo's basically Canada, so you guys might not get them, but
yeah, I guess.
Yeah, in the Midwest and in the South, Zapp's Voodoo are a thing. They're really good.
Is it just like a Lay's, like a brand?
Oh hell no.
Well, not like Lay's, but are they a brand? Like, are there different flavors of
Zapp's?
Zaps?
Is Voodoo is like the flavor.
That is the Voodoo flavor.
New Orleans. That's like that New Orleans Cajun style. That's like where Voodoo kind of comes from. Is that like Creole Cajun backgrounds? They call Voodoo chips. They're delicious.
It's like barbecue kind of.
They are not far off. They kind of have like that kind of that kind of tang to them, but they're way more addictive and way more flavorful.
Interesting. Okay. I think I might have to
I don't
try
know
it.
if they sell them in Buffalo. You might have seen them and just walked right past them because you're like, the hell is Zaps?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
I don't hate that. I have to try it. But is it in Utz? Are they in Utz?
Oh, I have
Like
no idea.
branch? They might be. I'm reading about it.
Oh, they are. Yes, they are.
Interesting. Okay, we have Utz. So maybe Zaps are around here. I just haven't seen them or
Yeah.
paid attention because they're branded differently. Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate that. I want to hear your top 5 overrated because I didn't make that list, but I can judge
So
yours.
I put some that are like kind of fringe chips. I have Cheetos on here. 'Cause Cheetos, like, once you're past the age of 6, you're like, why are we eating Cheetos, man? Like, there's so many other ones. I have Takis on here as well.
Mm.
They're just not that good. Like, they're just for people that don't care about flavor. They just want to eat as much of something as they possibly can.
Yeah.
I put Doritos on here because for the same deal, I like the first 3. Then I'm done. Then I'm like, okay, this is like actually gross.
Yeah.
But the first bite of a Dorito, 10 out of 10. It's a great flavor, but it's just like so. I feel so chubby when I eat Doritos.
Mhm.
Like, ugh, what am I doing to myself? Number 2, I have really any Lay's original. I like the Lay's bakes, but like just like the kind of unflavored thin Lay's. It's so overrated. I'm tired of them. Even the
No.
barbecue. I love barbecue chips. I love barbecue chips, but barbecue Lay's got a little overrated.
There's nothing, honestly, in the grand scheme, there's nothing better than one of the top chips in the bag on one of the family size bags, just of Lay's specifically. Like one of the biggest chips on the top of a Lay's family bag is so
It's a
good.
good.
I feel like
It's
it
a good
doesn't.
first bite.
No other chip brand has such a good top line chip at the top of the bag. Like people know what I'm talking about. Like you get to the bottom of the bag and the chips get small, they're crushed, they're shit. But at the top of the bag where there's space between where you open it and where the chips actually start because they have to have the air in the bag, they claim, to help the crispness or whatever the fuck. Those chips, Lay's has the best top chips. That's my take.
That's pretty crazy. You know what? I'm putting Lay's at number 1 on most overrated. I'm swapping them with Fritos.
Fritos.
Fritos are so like not that good if you eat them by themselves. And that was partially my thing is everyone's like, oh, you can dip them in dip. You put them in buffalo dip. But like, okay, you have to put them in dip for them to be edible. That docks them immediately.
I like Fritos. They fall in that bucket of I'm not in love with the flavor, but I can sit there and just eat a bunch of them.
I can eat them if I'm like really hungry and I have nothing else. And
Fritos,
the spicy chili ones are great. Like the sweet chilies, whatever that is, are great.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking like the OG yellow bag.
Yeah.
Not great.
Well, Fritos gets kind of a bad rap in my mind because anytime like my dog smells, we just say like, "Oh, you smell like Fritos." Like, why?
Pause. This is bacteria, actually.
Fritos. Yeah. I don't know why Fritos got that rap, and maybe the dog gross. Actually does smell like Fritos. But now, anytime I think of Fritos, that's usually what I think of before the actual.
It's not
chip,
a good thing.
So.
People aren't like, "Oh, this smells like Cajun style chips," because then I would bite my dog all the time. No, they smell like Fritos, and I want nothing to do with it. It's nasty.
Exactly. Like, yeah, you want to.
That's why they're number 2. Yeah, Lay's original standard chips are most overrated chip in the game. Get them off my boat. Get them out of the pool.
Nah. Lay's.
There's better contenders.
Lay's has a monopoly, a justified monopoly. They're not like EA Sports. They are the number one.
They're the exact same thing as EA Sports.
No.
The exact
Lay's
same
clears thing. EA Sports respectively.
They're both watered down. Good in like 2006. No. Now they're washed. They haven't changed their game. Lay's has some good products. I like the baked. I like the stacks, but like the original bags in the party packs, overrated.
I think Pringles, talking about stacks to Pringles, I think Pringles are, if I made my list, probably number 1 on my overrated list. I've never been in love with Pringles.
I like some Pringles, like on a car ride, they're pretty awesome, but like they have so many flavors that are just huge misses that like it's kind of hard to put them on there on my good list.
And then like Takis too. I never really was a big fan of Takis, but I would rather just have a hot fry. Like, why am I eating Takis?
I mean, it just depends what school you went to, really, to see how much Takis were in your life. But it depends on like the vending machine in your school.
Yeah,
we had a lot of hot Cheetos going around. And they're just not that good. Too. They're not that good.
My school, when I was growing up in elementary school, we did always have hot fries. It was always hot fries. And I think eventually once Takis came on the scene, that was what was replacing hot fries in the vending machine. And I don't know. I feel like if hot fries still was like the top player at the position, then people would be eating the hot fries. But Takis they're more popular. Like hot fries didn't update their branding. They've been the same for so long. There's no alternative flavors. Like there's alternative Taki flavors, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, the blue ones that'll kill you in a minute.
Yeah, right. So like I think if hot fries kept up with the trends and like the hip kids that the way that Takis does, they could easily be in contention, but they just fell out of the loop. Like they just got lazy.
It's a sad thing.
Very sad.
Sad thing to see. You know who is at the top? Devon Achan.
I think so too. I agree. I think Devon Achan clears Lays and Electronic Arts.
I do agree with that. We can agree on that.
All right. If you have no final thoughts on Chips or Joey Chestnut or football, then we can wrap up episode 44. As always, if you guys enjoy, comment, share, subscribe, like, etc. All of our socials in the description. Join the Discord for more blabbering, yapping nonsense and football. And we will see you in episode 45.